Have you ever felt happy, but still restless inside? It's strange, isn't it? We chase joy, success, love, thinking they'll finally make us feel whole. But sometimes, even when everything seems good, there's still a quiet ache we can't explain. That's where inner peace comes in. Welcome to Life Lessons, a space where we explore timeless wisdom through a lens of compassion and clarity. Today, we're not here to preach or tell you how to live. We're here to gently ask, what if happiness isn't the final goal? What if peace, deep, steady, unshakable peace is what we've been searching for all along? Drawing from Buddhist insights, this video is a reflection, not a lecture. It's about understanding the difference between fleeting happiness and lasting peace. It's about learning to sit with ourselves, breathe through the chaos, and find stillness in the noise. If this message resonates with you even just a little, consider giving this video a like or sharing it with someone who might need it. Your support helps this space grow, and more importantly, it helps these lessons reach those quietly seeking something deeper. Let's begin this journey inward toward peace. Not just happiness. Part 1. Happiness is a feeling. Peace is a state. There's a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when we realize that happiness doesn't always mean peace. We've all felt it. That strange dissonance between what life looks like on the outside and what it feels like on the inside. Maybe we've built a successful career, raised a loving family, or finally reached a long-awaited milestone. And yet, there's a restlessness, a subtle ache, a whisper in the heart that says, something's still missing. We're taught to chase happiness. It's everywhere, in commercials, in conversations, in the way we measure our worth. Happiness is often tied to external conditions. A promotion, a romantic relationship, financial security, recognition. And when those things arrive, we feel joy. But joy, as beautiful as it is, doesn't always stay, because happiness is a feeling, and feelings, like the seasons, change. Peace, on the other hand, is something else entirely. Peace is not loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or applause. It's quiet, gentle. It lives in the space between thoughts, in the breath we take when we stop trying to control everything. Peace is a state of being, one that doesn't depend on what's happening around us, but on how we relate to it. According to Buddhist wisdom, happiness is impermanent. It arises and fades, but peace is enduring. It's cultivated through acceptance, through letting go, through understanding the nature of our own minds. The Buddha once said, there is no path to peace. Peace is the path. That teaching is simple, but it holds a profound truth. We don't arrive at peace by collecting achievements or solving every problem. We arrive at peace by walking with awareness, by choosing compassion over control, by surrendering the need to always feel good. For many of us, this is hard to hear. We've spent decades building lives that look successful. We've sacrificed, worked tirelessly, and held ourselves together through storms. And yet, in the quiet moments late at night, or in the silence of a morning coffee, we feel the weight of something unresolved. Maybe it's grief, maybe it's regret, maybe it's the loneliness that comes from always being strong for others, but never being held ourselves. This video isn't here to fix that. It's here to sit with it, to say, we see you, we understand, and we believe that peace is possible, not as a reward, but as a choice. When we begin to distinguish happiness from peace, something shifts. We stop chasing highs and start seeking depth. We stop asking, what will make me happy? And start asking, what will help me feel whole? Peace comes when we allow ourselves to be fully present, when we stop resisting pain and start listening to it, when we stop performing and start being. It comes when we forgive ourselves for not being perfect, when we stop measuring our worth by what we've accomplished and start honoring who we've become. In Buddhist practice, peace is cultivated through mindfulness, through observing our thoughts without judgment, through breathing with intention, through embracing impermanence. It's not about escaping life's difficulties, but about meeting them with clarity and compassion. We don't need to wait for everything to be okay to feel peace. We can feel it in the middle of chaos, in the middle of heartbreak, in the middle of uncertainty, because peace isn't the absence of struggle. It's the presence of understanding, that when we begin to understand ourselves, not just the parts we show the world, but the parts we've hidden, the wounds we've carried, the fears we've buried, we begin to soften, we begin to heal. So, let us walk this path together, not toward happiness, but toward peace. Let us honor the quiet truth that lives beneath the noise. Let us choose to be still, even when the world demands motion. And if this message touches something in you, if it feels like a gentle hand on the shoulder, or a breath of fresh air in a crowded room, consider giving this video a like or sharing it with someone who might need it, not for numbers, but for connection, because sometimes all it takes is one moment of truth to begin again. Let's begin. Part 2. Why does happiness disappear so easily? There's a truth we all learn, some of us early, some of us late, but none of us can avoid it. Everything changes. The people we love, the roles we play, the dreams we once held so tightly, even our own bodies, our thoughts, our emotions, they shift, evolve, fade. This is the nature of life. And in Buddhist teaching, it's called impermanence. At first, impermanence can feel cruel. We fall in love, and then love changes. We build something meaningful, and then it's gone. We feel joy, and then sadness follows. It's easy to wonder, why can't happiness just stay? But the truth is, happiness is tied to conditions. It's often born from expectation, when things go the way we hoped, when life aligns with our plans. And when those conditions shift, happiness slips away, not because we did something wrong, but because that's what feelings do. They come, they go. We expect happiness to be permanent, and that expectation becomes the root of our suffering. We've all felt it, that sting of disappointment, when something we counted on falls apart. A relationship that once felt safe begins to unravel. A job we gave our heart to no longer fulfills us. A child grows up and no longer needs us the same way. These moments leave us feeling lost. UNANCHORED. And yet, in the teachings of the Buddha, there's a gentle invitation to stop clinging, to stop holding so tightly to what must eventually change. This doesn't mean we stop loving, or caring, or dreaming. It means we learn to love without grasping, to care without controlling, to dream without demanding. Because when we cling to happiness, we suffer. But when we accept impermanence, we begin to find peace. Peace doesn't ask the world to stay the same. It asks us to stay present. It's not about avoiding pain or chasing pleasure. It's about meeting life as it is, with open eyes and a soft heart. We've all been taught to chase happiness. But what if we've been chasing a shadow? What if the deeper truth is that happiness was never meant to be held, only experienced? And what if peace is what remains when we stop chasing? In Buddhist practice, peace comes from mindful response, not emotional reaction. It's the space between stimulus and response, a breath we take before speaking, the pause before judging, the silence before acting. When we learn to respond instead of react, we begin to reclaim our power. Not the kind of power that controls others, but the kind that steadies us. The kind that says, even if everything changes, I can remain grounded. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. That peace is not found in perfect circumstances, but in our relationship to impermanence. We can't stop time. We can't freeze joy. But we can learn to walk with change, instead of against it. And in doing so, we begin to heal. We begin to forgive ourselves for not being able to hold everything. Together, we begin to release the guilt of not always feeling happy. We begin to understand that sadness is not failure, it's part of being alive. For many of us, this truth is hard to face. We've spent years trying to build a life that feels safe, predictable, secure. And when it shifts, when someone we love leaves, when our health falters, when our plans unravel, we feel betrayed. But life didn't betray us. It simply changed. And in that change, there is an invitation to soften, to surrender, to trust, not in the permanence of happiness, but in the resilience of peace. So let us sit with this truth, not as a burden, but as a doorway. Let us honor the beauty of impermanence, even when it hurts. Let us learn to breathe through change, to open our hearts to the unknown, to find stillness in the storm. Because peace isn't about escaping change, it's about embracing it. And when we do something extraordinary happens, we stop fearing the end of happiness. We stop resisting the flow of life. We begin to live not in pursuit, but in presence. If this message touches something tender in you, if it feels like a quiet truth you've always known but never spoken, consider giving this video a like or sharing it with someone who might need it. Not for numbers, but for connection, for healing. Let's walk this path together, not toward happiness that fades, but toward peace that endures. Part 3. Where does peace come from? There's a quiet truth many of us discover not in moments of triumph, But in moments of stillness, it's the realization that peace doesn't come from fixing everything around us. It comes from being fully present with what is. We spend so much of our lives in planning, remembering, worrying, striving. Our minds race ahead to the next task, the next goal, the next escape. And in all that movement, we lose touch with the only place peace can truly live, the present moment. In Buddhist teaching, this practice of returning to the now is called mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't a technique, it's a way of being. It's the art of noticing, without judgment, of breathing with awareness, of observing our thoughts like clouds passing through the sky, without needing to chase or control them. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see clearly, not just the world around us, but the world within us. We begin to notice the tension in our shoulders, the stories we tell ourselves, the quiet longing we've carried for years. We begin to hear the voice beneath the noise, the one that's been asking for rest, for compassion, for space to simply be. And in that noticing, peace begins to bloom. It's not dramatic, it doesn't arrive with fanfare, but it's real. It's steady. It's the kind of peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, but on presence. Many of us have spent decades searching for peace in the wrong places. We've looked for it in relationships, in success, in control. And while those things can bring moments of joy, they rarely bring lasting stillness, because peace isn't something we find. It's something we return to, and we return through. Mindfulness. In Buddhist practice, mindfulness is cultivated through meditation, through the breath, through gentle observation. We sit, we breathe, we watch, not to escape life, but to enter it more fully. We learn to sit with discomfort, to soften around pain, to welcome joy without clinging. We learn to be with ourselves not as critics, but as companions. This is not easy. For many of us, sitting still feels unnatural. We've been taught to solve, to fix, to move. But mindfulness invites us to pause, to listen, to trust that peace doesn't come from doing more, but from being here. And when we begin to live mindfully, something shifts. We stop reacting and start responding. We stop judging and start understanding. We stop running and start arriving. We begin to see that our thoughts are not facts, that our emotions are not enemies, that our breath is a doorway to peace. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom, that peace is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of awareness. We don't need perfect conditions to feel peace. We need presence. We need compassion. We need the courage to sit with what is, even when it's uncomfortable. And in doing so, we begin to heal. We begin to forgive ourselves for the years we spent disconnected. We begin to honor the parts of us we've ignored. We begin to truly feel the depth of our own being. For many of us, this message arrives like a whisper in the dark, a gentle reminder that we are not broken, that we don't need to be fixed. That peace is already within us, waiting to be remembered. So let us return, let us breathe, let us sit in silence and listen to the truth beneath the noise. Let us choose mindfulness not as a trend, but as a path, not as a technique, but as a way of life. Because when we live mindfully, we live peacefully, and when we live peacefully, we live fully. If this message touches something deep in you, if it feels like a soft light in a long tunnel, consider giving this video a like, or sharing it with someone who might need it. Not for numbers, but for connection, for healing. Let's walk this path together, not toward escape, but toward presence, not toward happiness, but toward awakening. Let's come home to peace. Part 4. How do we choose peace every day? There's a quiet kind of strength in letting go, not the kind that shouts or demands attention, but the kind that frees us, the kind that loosens the grip of control, softens the weight of expectation, and dissolves the harshness of judgment. We live in a world that teaches us to hold on to plans, to roles, to identities, to hold on to how things should be. And when life doesn't follow that script, we suffer not because life is cruel, but because we resist what is taught in Buddhist teaching. Peace begins with letting go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the need to control what cannot be controlled. It means loosening our attachment to outcomes and learning to trust the unfolding of life. We've all felt the pain of unmet expectations, a relationship that didn't turn out the way we hoped, a career that didn't bring the fulfillment we imagined, a child who chose a different path. These moments leave us feeling powerless, disappointed, even ashamed. But what if peace isn't found in fixing those moments, but in how we meet them? What if the real power lies not in control, but in compassion? When we begin to let go, we begin to breathe again. We begin to see clearly. We begin to respond rather than react. This is the strength of the awakened heart, the ability to pause, to reflect, to choose. In Buddhist practice, this is called skillful response. It's the space between impulse and action. It's the moment when we ask ourselves, is this reaction coming from fear or from love? And in that space, we find freedom. We stop reacting out of habit. We stop defending, attacking, withdrawing. We begin to respond with clarity, with kindness, with presence. This is not easy, especially when we've been hurt, especially when we've carried pain for years. But the path to peace is not paved with avoidance. It's paved with compassion. And that compassion must begin with ourselves. We must learn to practice loving kindness, not just toward others, but toward the parts of ourselves we've rejected, the parts that feel unworthy, broken, ashamed, the parts we've hidden, even from those closest to us, because peace cannot grow in a heart at war with itself. When we offer ourselves compassion, we begin to heal, we begin to soften, we begin to let go not just of control, but of the stories that keep us stuck. We let go of the belief that we must always be strong, that we must always be right, that we must always be enough, and in that letting go, we begin to live. We begin to choose peace not once, but again and again, in the way we speak, in the way we listen, in the way we show up for ourselves and others. We choose peace when we forgive, when we breathe, when we allow things to be imperfect. We choose peace when we stop trying to win and start trying to understand. This is the daily practice, not a destination, but a way of walking, a way of being, and it begins with a single breath. So let us breathe, let us pause, let us choose peace not because life is easy, but because peace is possible. Let us let go not of love, but of control, not of hope, but of expectation, not of truth, but of judgment. Let us meet each moment with compassion. Let us respond with awareness. Let us live with open hearts, because peace is not something we find, it's something we choose. And if this message touches something deep in you, if it feels like a quiet truth you've been waiting to hear, consider giving this video a like or sharing it with someone who might need it. Not for numbers, but for connection, for healing. Let's walk this path together. Let's choose peace today and every day. Part 5. Peace helps us live more deeply. There's a kind of life that doesn't rush, it doesn't chase, it doesn't compete, it doesn't need to prove anything. It moves slowly, deliberately, like a quiet stream winding through the forest. That kind of life begins with peace. When we have peace, we stop being pulled into every drama, every distraction, every demand for our attention. We stop reacting to every noise outside and start listening to the silence within. In Buddhist teaching, this is the beginning of awakening. Thick. Awakening isn't a grand event. It's not reserved for monks or mystics. It's something we all touch when we live with awareness. When we begin to see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. When we stop numbing ourselves and start feeling again. Peace gives us the space to do that. Without peace, we live on autopilot. We rush through our days, ticking boxes, meeting deadlines, playing roles. We smile when we're supposed to. We nod when it's expected. But inside, something feels hollow, or we feel disconnected from others, from ourselves, from the deeper meaning of it all. But when peace enters, everything slows down. We begin to notice the warmth of sunlight on our skin, the sound of a child's laughter, the way our breath moves in and out, like waves on a shore. We begin to feel again not just the highs, but the quiet beauty in the ordinary. Peace allows us to live mindfully, to be present with each moment, to savor instead of consume, and in that presence, love deepens. We stop loving out of obligation and start loving from truth. We stop performing affection and start embodying it. We begin to see others not as roles or responsibilities, but as souls, each carrying their own story, their own pain, their own longing. This is the gift of peace. It opens the heart, it softens the edges, it makes us more patient, more tender, more real. And when we live from that place, life becomes meaningful not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. We begin to ask different questions. Not what do I need to achieve, but what do I want to feel? Not how do I win, but how do I connect? Not what's next, but what's here. In Buddhist wisdom, peace is not the end goal, it's the foundation. It's what allows awakening to unfold. It's what gives us the clarity to see through illusion, the courage to face suffering, and the compassion to walk gently with others. We don't need to escape life to live deeply. We need to awaken within it. An awakening begins with peace. For many of us, this truth arrives like a soft breeze in a heavy room. We've spent years surviving, striving, sacrificing. We've carried burdens silently, smiled through pain, kept going even when we felt like falling apart. But now, something shifts. We begin to realize that depth doesn't come from doing more, it comes from being more present. That meaning isn't found in perfection, it's found in connection. That love isn't measured by grand gestures but by quiet presence. Peace makes that possible. It gives us the strength to slow down, to listen, to feel, to live. And if this message touches something tender in you, if it feels like a truth you've always known but never had words for, consider giving this video a like or sharing it with someone who might need it. Not for numbers, but for healing, for connection. Let us walk this path together, not toward escape, but toward awakening. Not toward noise, but toward stillness. Not toward happiness alone, but toward peace that helps us live more deeply. Let's return to what matters. Let's live from the heart. Conclusion: choose peace. We've explored something deeper than happiness today. We've looked at how happiness often depends on external conditions, success, love, recognition, and how easily it can slip away. But peace is different. It's steady, it's quiet, it's something we can choose, even when life feels uncertain. We've learned that peace begins with awareness, with letting go of control, expectations, and judgment, with practicing mindfulness through breath, through presence, through compassion. We've seen how peace helps us respond instead of react, and how it allows us to live more slowly, more deeply, more truthfully. This isn't just philosophy, it's a way of living. When we choose peace, we begin to heal, we begin to connect, we begin to live not just for the highs, but for the moments that truly matter. Peace helps us love more fully, listen more deeply, and walk through life with grace. So let's not just understand these ideas, live them. Let's choose peace, not just for joy, but for truth, not just for comfort, but for meaning. If this message resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, or simply let us know you're here. And if you'd like to continue this journey with us, please like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to Life Lessons. Together, let's keep exploring the wisdom that helps us live with heart. Let's choose peace today and every day.